Hi guys, welcome to Let's Talk Business. We put new videos up here every week, so don't forget to subscribe. When running a small business, there is nothing lonelier than being at the top. You are the master of every area, even though you may not have any qualifications or track record. Could this be where non-executive directors help? Are they therefore essential, in fact, to a business's success? Financial expert Ian Govier is here. Thank you very much for popping by, Ian. First of all then, what is a non-executive director and how does one differ from a normal company director?
In legal form, they don't differ from a director at all. They would be, in most cases, a director of the company. The term non-executive means they don't have an executive role within the company, so they're not responsible for finance, they're not responsible for marketing, they're not responsible for sales, they're not responsible for HR. They're there in a broader role. Very often companies will have a non-executive chairman as well as the chief executive officer. And the non-exec plays a role which is far wider than the individual directors, the executive directors on the board.
So they're still on Companies House register?
In most cases, yes.
Right. And therefore, what sort of role do they fulfill? You said they're quite a broad spectrum of things that they could get involved in, but what sort of things would one expect a non-exec to get involved in?
Non-exec directors tend to come from a variety of backgrounds. They will very often have had businesses of their own or been executive directors in specific industries. A non-exec director brings that experience, the experience that they've garnered over the years running businesses, being employed in businesses, to bring a wider perspective to the board, to give a different viewpoint potentially to the views that are held by other members of the board, to allow the board to sort of think more broadly than they would normally do without the presence of a non-exec. So they act in a number of roles as a mediator, arbitrator, a friend, a sounding board, a sense checker. There's all sorts of things that a non-exec will do on the board, as well as ensuring that the governance, the corporate governance of the company is more in line with what the Companies Act and the various pieces of legislation related to companies require.
I understand that many non-execs come from a corporate background in themselves and they come with a wealth of experience. Would companies typically expect to pay for these services, or do some give their services for free?
Some non-execs will act for free. Very often with charities, non-execs are not necessarily paid. In sort of business organisations such as chambers of commerce, the non-exec directors tend to be unpaid. However, in most corporate situations, in most trading businesses, non-execs would receive a director's remuneration. It would depend on the extent of their involvement. It would depend on the number of times a year they're expected to attend board meetings and what they're expected to do beyond those board meetings. I think that all companies should think about having a non-exec director on board, particularly in view of the fact they can act as a sounding board that you wouldn't otherwise have. They can deal with those "is it me" moments, as I call them, where the executive directors are sort of gridlocked and they think, why am I not getting this?
Yeah.
Or what else can we do to change this? A non-exec is not there to manage the business, the direction of the business. A non-exec is there to sort of test the waters and act as devil's advocate and act as a sounding board for ideas, and also to introduce potentially new ways of thinking into the business.
And do some of them actually invest in the companies? They might do it if they liked it enough eventually, but can a company bring on a non-exec director who is also investing in that company?
Yeah, very often investors take a seat on the board as a non-exec. Sometimes there is a challenge for the board and for the non-execs and for the execs. When a non-exec comes on and they're an investor, they've obviously got a vested interest in the business. So they might want to see the business going a certain way, whereas the execs might not. So when you bring an investor in, very often they will sit on the board, but they won't necessarily have the impartiality of the traditional non-exec.
And where can we find out a little bit more about non-execs? How do we go about doing that?
One of the first parts, of course, is to speak to the institute directors. They actually have a directory of non-exec directors, and any company, small or large, can look at that directory and approach to look for people who are suitable. A lot of chambers of commerce have contacts within their organisation, which basically will open the door to non-execs. Non-execs will advertise themselves, as it were, very often through recruitment agencies. Some of the higher level headhunters will have divisions that deal with the recruitment of non-execs. Most non-execs in the smaller businesses tend to come from the business community that you know and the network that you have. So very often all you've got to do is open your mouth, ask the question, and somebody will come up with the answer in terms of the person.
So you can go and check them out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, get referral. Ian, it's always good to have you in. Thank you very much for that. That's Ian Govier. Now, I'll put Ian's details on our website, letstalkbusinessonline.com. I hope you enjoyed that. We upload new videos every week, so don't forget to subscribe.